Hey folks, welcome back to another video of the Flutter Development course brought to you by Newton School. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Harsh Kumar Khatri and I'll be your instructor for this course. I am currently working as an intern at Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and I am an ex-Flutter developer intern at AppScript where my primary goal was to develop Flutter applications on the basis of the needs. I am also an instructor at Udemy and EduOnix where I have more than 10,000 enrollments in my Flutter courses. For those of you who are thinking what Newton School is, so Newton School is a platform which helps you to learn and develop skills that you need for your best tech career. There are courses specifically designed for freshers, working professionals, and women with no prior experience in tech. Newton School first trains you for 6 months and helps you develop a full stack developer. It also has a network of more than 300 great companies who hire directly from Newton School. So once the training is completed, Newton School also ensures that you are placed with one of the best companies in the country. There is also a pay after placement program where you don't have to pay Newton School anything until you get placed with a minimum CTC of 5 lakh rupees per annum. They also have another awesome initiative which is known as Launchpad, where they have multiple courses which are available free of cost, and there is also a code editor in which you can practice while learning through those courses by registering on the Newton School's website. And once you complete these courses, you will also be getting a certificate of completion. So the link for more information is given in the description, so make sure to check Newton School and Launchpad. Now coming to the today's video. So in today's video we'll be covering about what states are, how many types of states are there, how many types of widgets on the basis of states are there, what are some of the basic concepts which Flutter has, and what a developer should know, because these are some of the concepts which are going to be asked from you when you are appearing for the interview. So these are some one more thing, that these are the concepts which most of the developers skip when they are starting with the Flutter development. They jump directly to the code or to the widgets part. So you must remember this, and this will be making you separate from those herd which is directly going into the development part. And at last we'll also be seeing how Flutter code is converted into native code. So let's get started with the first topic. So what basically a state is. So the state of an app is everything that exists in the memory when the app is running. This includes the app states, all the variables that Flutter framework keeps about the UI, animation state, textures and fonts and so on. So to keep this in an easy way, so when your Flutter app is running, everything which is being displayed on the screen, everything which the user is seeing, the user is interacting with, that would be counted in a state. It could be UI part, it could be the animation, it could be the images which are being displayed, the authentication which user is going through, the database which is taking place, or the CRUD operations which are taking place on the database in the backend, then those would also be considered as a part of the state. Now, how many type of states are there? People generally confuse the type of widgets with the type of state, so you have to be sure about how many types of state are there. So talking about these, we generally classify the states in two different types. The first one being the ephemeral state and the second one being the app state. So what ephemeral and app states are? So basically ephemeral state, also called as UI state or local state, is the state that you can neatly contain in a single widget. There is no need to use a state management technique like scope model, redux or block pattern on this kind of state. These can be made out by using stateful widgets only. So basically ephemeral state can be considered as a state where we don't need any state management solutions, and it can be made out of a single widget. Like we can use a single stateful widget for making this state out. Next, on the other hand, we have the app state. So any of the state that is not ephemeral, that you want to share across many parts of your app and that you want to keep between the user sessions, is what we call the application state. Sometimes this is also known as shared state. So talking more about this app state, so you must have seen that sometimes there is a use case when you want to share data between various different screens. You want some functionality of the app which you have triggered on one screen to be applicable on the other screen. So this could be like you are turning dark mode inside your application and you want that to be applicable in all of the app, entire app. Then in that case we use app state. We generally use a set state or various different state management solutions for managing the state in this particular perspective, like in the app state. And let me tell you more about both of these state with the help of an example, so that you can have a better idea of what both of these state are. So if you are having a screen in your app where you only want to display the data related to the developer, like who the developer is and his social media handles, then in that case that screen does not need any state management solutions integrated in it, because we are not sharing the data with other screen, or we don't want that screen to impact any of the other screens which are present in our app. So in that case this screen will be falling under the ephemeral state case. Whereas on the other hand, if we have a login screen, or when we are taking some data from the user and we want the user and we want the data which we have taken from the user to be displayed on some other screen, or like the example of the dark mode which I just gave you. So in that case both of these examples will be falling under the app state, as we will be needing some of the other state management solutions to manage this kind of the condition, so that the data could be transferred between the screens and the data in the app could be updated on the dynamic basis. So this was about the types of state which we have in Flutter. Now talking about the different types of widgets which we have on the basis of state. So the first widget which we have is the stateless widget, and the second widget which we have is the stateful widget. So basically a stateless widget is a dataless widget, and a stateful widget is a dataful widget. Now you must be thinking what dataless and dataful is. So basically those widgets who don't need much data, or who don't need any of the data to use or to share between the screens, or to interact, or the data which needs user interaction, so that screens or that widgets will be falling under the stateless widget kind. And on the other hand, the stateful widgets are the widgets which will be needing data, and we will be changing that data, updating that data, performing different operations on the data throughout the app. So those widgets will be falling under the stateful widgets. These are the two kinds of widgets which we'll be using while making our app, or while implementing different things in our app. Now talking about the another thing, that stateless widgets are immutable, which means that those cannot be changed while we are working with our app. So when we are working in our app, so basically if you have a screen, as I mentioned, that a user data screen, so you don't want that screen to be changing dynamically, or you don't want the data of that screen to be changing dynamically. So in that case we use the stateless widgets. Whereas on the stateful widget, they are mutable and they can be updated by using some of the state management solutions, or using set state or other things to update the data which we have inside those screen. So those are mutable. Now one special case is there, that the thing which is mentioned over here, that these stateless widgets are immutable. This is not totally true, because there are some of the state management solutions which we can use to update the data inside the stateless widgets also. So that's why more or less they are called as immutable, because those statement solution is an add-on which we do to them to make them mutable, or to update the data in the stateless widgets also. Now talking about the next thing, which is the stateless widgets cannot be redrawn. So once the screen has loaded, or the data inside the screen, or the UI part inside the screen has loaded, we cannot redraw the stateless widgets until and unless we are closing the screen and we are opening the screen again. Whereas on the stateful widgets we can redraw them. For example, if you are having a counter app and you click on the button, you want the data of the particular variable to be updated and it to be displayed to the user. So in that case we need to redraw the data which is, or the variable which is being displayed to the user. So this can the widgets inside this can be redrawn. Now inside the stateless widget the state cannot be set, and whereas inside the stateful widget the state can be set. Now let me put it in a simple way. So basically stateless widget does not need any state, as they are only displaying some kind of what we can say a fixed kind of data, whereas in the stateful widgets we need a state, because we need to change various different things inside the app, or we need to update the data which is present in the app, or the UI part which is present in the app. So that's why we can set the state of the app according to ourselves, whereas on the other hand the state cannot be set in the stateless widgets case. Now some of the basic concepts which I told you that people skip while they are learning Flutter. So these are some of the basic concepts, like how Flutter will be rendering the widget, what is the reloading and refreshing, the widget lifecycle and app lifecycle. Let me show you each of these one by one. So here on the screen you can see that we have a basic code, or the basic snippet from a Flutter code, which shows that there is a main function, and then we have a run app function having the center widget, rich text, text pen and text inside it, which is showing hello world on the screen. So you must be thinking how this hello world will be appearing on the screen. So basically what happens is, when we are running a Flutter app, the top to bottom approach is taken in case inside this. So the first thing which will be running over here is the main function, which will be running the run app function. And inside the run app function, as we have different kinds of widgets available, like the center widget, rich text widget, text span widget. So these will be taking, or these will be laying down one by one, and on the top of that other widget, which is a child of this widget, will be appearing. So here you can see that first the center widget will be taking place, like the centering of the widget inside this particular full screen. First the let me go back. Yeah, so first the centering thing will be taking place, then a rich text would be laid out, and then the text which we have used over here, that is hello world, will be laid out. Here is another example of the same. So you can see that there is a container, color, center, rich text, and text span, which is displaying hello world over here. So first the container will be laid out, then the center, then the rich text. These widgets like color widgets and the text span widgets, these are laid out like these are basically the properties. So they apply to the their top level widget which is present. So we don't, so Flutter generally don't lays out them, but directly implement the conditions or the things which are present inside this properties widget. Now when you will be going through the basic code of the Flutter which is available on the GitHub, like the complete source code, you will be finding some kind of code over here which shows you that @immutable, and along with this it also shows you that the abstract class extend diagnostic tree. So this is basically a snippet from that. So in Flutter, in the source code for the Flutter which is available on the GitHub, you can find out that everything which we make in Flutter is immutable, which means that when we will be creating any of the widget, or when we will be assigning or initializing any of the variables inside Flutter, those are immutable. As I have already told you what immutable are, let me keep this in another way. So basically immutable means that those will be initialized with the final keyword. For those of you who don't know what final keywords are, final keyword is a keyword which we attach before the variables when we don't want the value of those variable or those widgets to be changing throughout the app or throughout the code which we are running. So now you must be thinking that if everything in Flutter is final, then how are the stateful widgets updating the data, or how the data inside the stateful widgets, the UI part, is getting updated dynamically by using the state management solutions, or by using the set state thing. So I will be telling you about that in the later part or after this screen. But before that, what do you think? Like, is everything in Flutter a widget? So if you have heard from someone or you have attended some other thing, then you must be familiar with this word, that everything, you must be familiar with this phrase, that everything in Flutter is a widget. So is it true or is it not? Let me know about this in the comment section. Like, what do you think? Does everything in Flutter is a widget, or it is not? Now let's move toward the rendering part, like how, although the everything is initialized as the final, but how the data is updating inside our app. So in Flutter, what generally happens is there are three different types of trees. The first one being the widget tree, the second one being the element tree, and the third one being the render object tree. So what these three trees are for, these three trees are for laying out the widgets, the elements, and the render objects. Basically, when we are running the Flutter code, or when the Flutter code is run, first the main function is running, then the run app function is running, and inside the run app function, as I told you, that widgets are laid out one by one. So here you can see that center widget is laid out and text widget is laid out. So when we will be running the app, the first thing which will be forming out from the app, from the code, is the widget tree. Once the widget tree is created, on the basis of the widget tree, this element tree is created, and it will be creating the render objects from the widget tree, and it will also be creating the elements from the text or the things which are being displayed from the variables inside your Flutter app. And with the help of this element tree, this render object tree will be creating, which will be making the render objects over here. Now you must be familiar with the widget tree thing, as it is very simple or easy to understand, but you must be confused what element tree are, what render object tree are, and what does these tree do. So render tree can be classified as a mutable piece of tree which manages updating and changing of the UI. You can think of it as managing the life cycle of the widget. Every element holds a reference to a widget and a render object. So basically it acts, this element tree acts as a glue for your widget tree and the render object tree. Now talking more about the render object tree. So when the Flutter is drawing your UI, it does not look at the tree of the widget. So when the UI is displayed or when the UI is laid out, it is not laid out from the widget tree or from the element tree, but it is laid out from the render object tree. So it is having a look at the render objects, one which control all your sizes, all your layouts, and keeps all the logic from painting the actual widgets. That's the reason why render object tree is very expensive to initiate. So whenever the render object tree is being used to display or to overlay or to make the UI or layout display on the screen, it is a very expensive operation. So now talking about how the changes take place as everything is final. When the app is starting, Flutter will first go throughout your all the widgets and then create a widget tree out of it. Corresponding to the widget tree, the Flutter will be creating the element tree, in which each of the element objects are created by using a create element function which is present. You don't need to worry, or you don't need to learn more about the create element function. The things are happening automatically, and the elements will be created on those widgets. Now each of the elements or each of the render object will be created when the elements call create render object function. So on the basis of the elements which we have created, we will be creating the render objects by using the create render object function. Again, you don't need to worry about the render object function. You don't need to worry about the create render object function. It is the thing which is taking place in the background. So as we are using the render object tree for displaying everything inside our Flutter app, so when we change some part of the code or when we update some part of the code, the data inside this render object tree will be changed rather than the data inside the widget tree being changed. So on the basis of the changes which are appearing in the code, the element tree and the render object tree will be updated, and then we will be displayed with the updated data. Let me explain you this once again with the example which we have seen previously as well. So here is the code like main function run app, which is having rich text and text span as its childs. So when this will be running, first case what will be happening is that rich text will be laid out then a text span, and on the inside this text span the hello world will be displayed. So here you can see that it is being displayed over here. Now what will taking place is, first the rich text will be made, and on the basis of that element for the rich text will be made, and on the basis of this element this render object will be created, and this render object will be displaying the UI to the user. Now what if we replace the text for this hello world with the text of hello Shanghai over here. So when this text will be updated, so basically this text is a variable value which is present inside our widget. So now what it will be creating is, the thing will be taking place is that rather than creating the render object completely or the element tree completely, it will be directly updating the value of the variable which is present over here. Now why this is taking place is because creating render object and creating elements again and again is a very expensive operation which needs to take place, and this can result in the slowing of your app or like degrading the user experience. So that's why rather than making the render object completely or the elements completely, only the variable which is being changed will be updated. One more thing, that Flutter widgets are built using a modern framework that takes inspiration from the React, and the central idea here is that you will be building the UI out of the widgets. So basically widgets describe what the view should look like, and this will be giving you the current configuration of the state. And when the widgets will be changing, the widget tree will be getting updated, and the data which is present as a variable inside the element tree and the render object tree will be changing rather than changing the complete elements or render objects which are present inside both of these tree. And this will be helping you, and this will be resulting in the improvement of your performance of your app drastically. So this is how the things inside our app are displayed and shown to the user. And also this is the thing which results in the updating of the data dynamically, although being declared as final inside the Flutter source code. Now talking about two more things which are present inside Flutter. So the first one is the hot reload, and second one is the hot restart. So inside the native Android application development, these two things were not present. So that's why every time we are making some changes to our app, we have to first stop the ID, and then we have to run it again, which will be resulting in the installing of your application again and again, and which will be taking more time. But these two things have reduced the development time to such an extent. Now talking about the hot reload first, it will be taking less time, whereas on the hot restart it will be taking comparatively more time as compared to the hot reload. When we'll be clicking hot reload, the state of the app will be remaining same, whereas in the case of hot restart, the state will be destroyed and rebuilt. Let me tell you it. Let me keep it in a simpler way. So whenever you are making a Flutter app, like in this case, when you have used this code for displaying hello world, now when you have changed this text with hello Shanghai, you don't have to rebuild the state of the app, or you don't have to close the app and rerun it again. You can directly press hot reload button, and it will be updating the widgets, updating the changes which are taking place. Like in our case, the text will be updated. But in case you are like removing the top level widget, which is the rich text widget, and you are using some other widget, in that case then you can use the hot reload to build the state of the app directly, else it will be showing you some error that this widget is missing or this thing is missing. So that's why you can use hot restart in that case, and update the state of the state. Like the state will be destroyed and built again when you will be pressing the hot restart button. Now coming to the widget lifecycle. So basically widget lifecycle depends upon the type of widget which we are having. Stateful widgets can be drawn once, so we generally don't discuss about the widget lifecycle they are having, as they are only drawn once. Whereas on the other hand, the stateful widgets can be redrawn, and this can be an example of a widget, and this can be an example of the life cycle which they follow. So when the Flutter app is run, firstly the widget is created, and the first thing which is running inside the code is the init state function which is present. I'll be telling you more about this when we are like in the development phase and when we are making the apps. Now once the init state thing is running, the widgets which are coded will be built on the basis of what we have coded. Once the build is completed, we'll be checking if the new configuration is present or anything is being updated inside our app, and if a new configuration is present, we'll be running the did update config function. On the other case, we can also check if the changes in an internal state has been taking place. Like in the previous case, the text was updated, and if this is the case, this is true, then we'll be running the set state function, and then both of these will be going up again, and then we will be building the widget again. And this cycle goes on until we are making changes, or we are updating the things inside our app. Once we have developed the app, or once the build is complete, then we clean the environment, we dispose all of the things which we have used or which we have initialized in this init state function, and after that we close the app, or we close the widgets which are and we stop the widgets which are being displayed on the screen. So basically this is the widget lifecycle which one widget goes through when we are like developing apps in our Flutter, and when the user is using the app. So these are the lifecycle which the widgets follow when the user is viewing at various different widgets which we have implemented inside our app. Now talking about the app life cycles which are present. So basically there are 4 different types of observable events which are present. The first one is an inactive. So the application can be classified inside the inactive state when it is not receiving any user input. This event only works on the iOS part of our app, as there is no equivalent event to map in the Android part. Next we have the pause state, which occurs in our app when the application is not currently visible to the user, or not responding to the user inputs and running in the background. This is equivalent to the on pause, which is present inside the Android. If any one of you is aware about the native Android development, so that on pause is present inside that. The next state which the app has is the resume state. So basically when the application is visible again and is responding to the user input, then this is equivalent to the on post resume in the Android native development. So when the user has brought back the app from the pause state and is interacting with the app, then it falls under the resume condition. Next is the suspending or the suspended, when the application is suspended momentarily, and this is equivalent to the on stop when the application is stopped. It is not triggered in iOS, as there is no equivalent event for that to be mapped inside the iOS application. Now talking about the last topic, like how Flutter and Dart code compiles to the native application. So the first thing which I'll be telling you is what many people think is taking place when we are running our Flutter app. So when the Flutter app is run through the Flutter API or through the Flutter SDK, the utilities and the widgets are converted into the Dart code. So the Dart code will be having all our widgets or the code which we have written, and on the basis of that the Flutter SDK will be converting the or compiling the code inside a native Android application and inside the native iOS application. So this is what many people have in their mind. One more thing which many people consider is that one more thing which many people consider is is shown through this example, that inside the Flutter when we are making a raised button, so what people think is that this raised button will be converted into UI button in the iOS apps and inside the widget button in the Android app. So this is not the case over here, but the real thing which takes place when we want to when we are adding anything inside the Flutter, or when we want to convert any of our Flutter code to iOS or Android, is that every widget or everything which we are making inside Flutter has a custom implementation. So Flutter is a direct control of every pixel which is being drawn inside our screen or on the UI or in the backend part as well. It has each and every control of everything which is being taking place. So it is not the case that everything is being converted into the iOS, Android, and currently web and desktop part as well. It is being directly controlled by Flutter, which is helping in like improving the performance to a greater extent, and there are no limitation or translation loss which are occurring or which are resulting in the lagging of our application. So this is how basically the Flutter and Dart code is compiled directly to the native apps, rather than making each and every components for each of the apps which is present, for each of the OS which is present over here. So this was all for this particular video. I hope you have enjoyed or you have got to learn something new from this video. I know that this video is a bit long, but these are some of the concepts which you should remember and can be asked from you when you are appearing from for a Flutter developer role. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to drop a like, comment on the video, the best part which you learned. Share this video with the people in your community or your friends who want to learn Flutter, and also subscribe to the channel for more updates on the course which is going on. The videos are posted on every alternate day, so stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Also make sure to check out the Newton School. The link is given in the description. It will be providing you various different things if you are part of the Newton School or if you are signing up for Launchpad. So yeah, thank you for watching this video.